Hello and welcome to the Wealth on Purpose podcast. It's here where you can navigate the important financial topics that you want to know about, designed with convenience in mind and a human tone of voice, communicated to you through real stories and a wealth of experience. This is Wealth on Purpose with Brian Diffley and Brian Hartman.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Wealth on Purpose podcast. Brian Diffley here with my business partner, Brian Hartman. And in the middle, bookend is Dalton Heffel. Welcome back, Dalton.
Glad to be here, guys.
So you were here on the podcast a few episodes ago, so thanks for coming back.
Yep.
We've been learning a lot about you over these 6-7 months. So you came on in the summertime. It's rounding out Thanksgiving soon.
That's right.
And you're a humble guy, and you're in a very nice way. You're a humble person who's a little bit on the quieter side. I think, when you meet people like you that have that sort of a personality trait, I think it's a really good personality trait. You get to learn a lot about people. There's a lot of hidden stories in there. And we've been learning a lot about you over the past 6-7 months. And we've been kind of had our minds blown about your past. And I really want to dig into that a little bit today, about your work ethic and about, some of the priorities that you laid out for yourself as a young man and how that's turned you into this advisor right now. And as Bri said before, the seventh wonder of the investing world, you've taken that bull by the horns and really ran with it at a young age. And now as a young man, you've really seen sort of the growth pattern and the opportunities that are out there for other young people. So we're going to get into that and really decorating some of your stories and your past that I think, my God, if more young people can attach themselves to that sort of ambition financially, they will be set up and have that snowball avalanche for them when they're older.
That's right.
Sound good, right?
That sounds awesome.
So the seventh wonder of the investing world, which, we talk a lot as professional investors and advisors. We talk to our clients about making sure they have their asset allocation right, making sure they own a diversified portfolio to weather the storm. And that helps. But there's something else, Dalton, and you really brought this to our attention more than anything else, that really can make the difference between someone being a really great saver and maybe getting started a little bit early. So you have a story about how you got your first dollar invested and about someone, I think it was in your family, who encouraged you to do it.
So it was my uncle, he's in the business. He's an advisor. And when I was 13 years old, he got me to start investing.
13.
Yeah, he just stressed the importance of it to me. And I didn't realize it back then, but I was really happy to get started. I remember the first stock that I bought was Apple. Wow. 11 years ago already. So
how did you have that conversation? Did you even know what the stock market was at 13?
I barely knew what it was. He almost kind of forced me to do it. And I would just work as hard as I could. I would, do yard work. So I grew up in Wisconsin. I'd shovel snow in the winter for money. I'd do anything. I'd take birthday money and I'd just start buying the stocks that he told me to buy.
Wow.
How did you do that? Like, you couldn't have just walked into Morgan Stanley as a 13-year-old and asked for an account, right? What happened?
No. So my mom set up like a UTMA account for me. So she was the, she was the legal guardian on that account. And I was just able to start investing. But back then, different than it is now, you had to pay a commission on every trade. It was like, I remember $6 whether you were buying or selling.
Wow. And as
even if it was just one share.
That's a lot of shovel of snow for $6.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
A lot going to the house there.
Yeah. But now, as you know, it's commission free. So the game has really changed for people. Zero commission. You can even buy a fraction of a share.
So that's right. When you were 13, right? We're talking quite a while back. You probably had to save enough for the share price to be able to buy the share.
That's right. Yeah. I would save up not just for one share. I'd try to buy like a few shares at a time, maybe 5 shares to like really make it count. And so that's when I started, and I saw what that did for me throughout the years. So I just wanted to be able to help other people be able to do that because it had a huge impact on my life. And I feel like I could really help other people change their lives.
My God, I love that. And then now you're in position. Now you're licensed up. You have your
That's
licenses.
Right. That's right.
Clawing at that CFP down the road. I mean, you're positioning yourself now because of your prior experiences And I love how it lit you up. I love how you got jazzed up about every back-breaking shovel. You're like, this is going, this sweat equity is going to be going into my portfolio. I love that. And I know your uncle really well, so I can totally see him sitting down with those piercing eyes of his and telling you exactly like giving you his passion that you took and ran with.
Absolutely. He has a huge passion for it, and it definitely lit a fire in me too. So,
and can you imagine like if more young people had an uncle, had an Ed to sit them down and say like, this is what you do, this is why you do it, this is how you do it, and this is what happens down the road. Oh my
huge
God. That's great. Just getting to these young minds and being like, this is what you should do with that, because birthday money's coming, the shoveling snow money's coming, whether it's that or, well, there's no snow down in Charleston, but whether you're raking leaves or you're picking up sticks, whatever you're doing, whatever you're getting money for, to actually turn that into something significantly fruitful and just latching on to that seventh wonder of compounding interest, right?
That's right.
I mean, Bri, we work with those, even with our clients who aren't 14, we'll show them investment calculators. But imagine, 5 years difference, let alone 10 or 20 of starting investing early on and just letting that compounding interest roll down the hill. Right. Oh my God! It's just
you don't have to have a ton of money to get started. You can literally go on Schwab and buy a fraction of $5.
Right.
You could do that in a few stocks every month. If you start doing that when you're young, it's really going to add up and compound for you.
So let's talk about that a little bit. This fractional share things is a little bit of industry jargon, but let's break that down to what people can actually understand about it.
Sure.
So whether it's a 13-year-old saving for herself or himself, or if it's a parent who's thinking about putting a few dollars away, Dalton, a few minutes ago, you said something incredibly powerful. You don't have to have a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. Today, you don't have to save $1,000 to get started or $2,000 or $5,000 to get started. You can actually buy fractional shares. So what that means is if a stock is trading at $250, you don't necessarily have to save $250 in order to buy that stock.
Right.
You can actually have $100 and own a fractional piece of that stock.
Yes.
And that's way different. This is investing getting more and more modernized, which is probably why we're starting to see younger folks get invested earlier. Right? Maybe not all as lucky as you were at 13. With an uncle who knew how to speak the language. I mean, as a 13-year-old, right? I went back to when I was 13 when you were talking a minute ago. Had I even had someone who tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Let's get invested," I'm not sure that my ears and my brain were ready for that. Yeah. So, I'm sure that you must have had a special relationship and you must have just been prepared for that conversation. So you earned $20, shoveling a driveway. Is all $20 going into an investment portfolio? Are you spending some, or how did that work?
I would try to put as much as I could. You have little things that you buy here and there, but for the majority, probably 90% of what I was earning back then was going in, just because I didn't have any expenses and I was passionate about it. I read Warren Buffett's book when I was in my teens, and Peter Lynch. So I really learned from those guys. It helped expand my knowledge. So.
All right, that's not a knowledge drop. We didn't know that you did that. It's just so young, but it's no surprise getting to know you. I think there's some lessons in this, right? Because you had mentioned a few minutes ago, what's the average age that an American gets started saving and investing? Average
age of a first investor is 33 years old.
Holy smokes.
So if you can start even when you're 20, you're 13 years ahead of the game. It makes a huge difference.
That's a mind-blowing age. Yes. I would think it would be 10 years earlier. Like the average 33? Wow.
Yes.
Like what hindrance. Yeah. My God.
And if you get started, it's so much more, right? It's like people are making decisions now whether they retire at 60 or 70. Well, if you get started at 13, maybe you're deciding at 55 or 60 as opposed to that, because you're going to have your money in for the same period of time in the markets. So, at 13, you're not thinking about your retirement. You don't even know what you want to be when you grow up. You don't even necessarily know what high school you're going to go to. But the empowerment that does. So the message is, maybe your 13-year-old isn't ready to hear this message, whether it be your son or your daughter or grandchild, whatever it may be. But maybe you get started early with them and then show them what an investment can do for them over time. And maybe they get bit by the Dalton bug, right? And they go,
right.
Oh, I can do this too. Like I can put my money into this thing.
Right.
It can become very powerful.
Did you have a goal in mind? So when your uncle sat you down and he said, this is what you can do, were you like, okay, I'm going to do this for the Lamborghini down the road, or was it?
That's funny.
Or did you just like seeing the numbers tick up, and obviously get more and more bloated?
Definitely started to see those numbers. The first few years, like, as you guys know, we're kind of flat, and I'd be down sometimes. I was like, oh man, is it even worth it?
Right.
But then once I had like one good year, then you have a few good years, then it really starts to compound and roll, and what you earn is way greater than what you're putting in. It's funny you mentioned the Lamborghini. That's like my dream car.
Yeah.
So I guess that is my goal. I used to have a little Lamborghini sitting on in my bedroom. So
all right,
I guess that's like the ultimate goal. But yeah,
I had a poster of one when I was a kid, Lamborghini Countach. I know, I got it too. Yeah, for sure. Right. So you were dollar cost averaging and not even realizing it.
Right.
Like you were buying no matter what. It's going in. Market's going like this. Volatility's your friend. You didn't even realize that.
Right.
So you're buying at all these different, share prices, and over time it's just working out because you're consistent. You were consistent. You kept showing, it kept snowing in Wisconsin.
Right.
So you kept shoveling and
that's good for my business.
Exactly.
Right? When I was a kid.
And you kept making money and you kept injecting it in. So even when you were down, you're like, oh my God, that stings a little bit. But then because you were putting it back in.
Just keep putting it in. And that's the biggest thing he told me. Just be consistent. Yep. When the market goes down, it's on sale.
All right, let's go through 2 questions for like some takeaways here for some people, right? So, all right, we're all kind of the age. Brian and I have our kids. You're at the age where a lot of your friends are probably thinking about it and all those kinds of things, right? So you have a friend calls you, maybe they just got married or whatever they say, baby's on the way, right? We're planning on having a kid in 6 to 9 months, whatever that is. Obviously, the warm hugs, the congratulations, the sincere message. And then they say, Dalton, like, what should we be doing financially to prepare for this child that we're about to have? Well, what advice would you give them?
Number one thing I would say, open up an UTMA account. I don't care if you're putting in $20 a month for them. Just start on it and just start doing that UTMA or a 529 that's used for education purposes. But either just start, and you will have to put in a lot less, and you're going to end up with a lot more if you start that early.
So you just said start 4 times, and you only mentioned money 1 time. So it's not about the getting started with a bunch of money. It just is get started with something.
That's the thing. Just get started. I don't care if you got $5. That's all you need.
Yeah. Get open. All right. So now here's the harder question, right? Because that's great advice, right? Having a baby, whatever it is, your child's young, you're starting to think about it. Stop thinking about it and just do it. Huh?
Right.
Second question is, somebody has a 13-year-old son, daughter, grandchild, whatever it may be. What could they say to that person to have the impact that your uncle had on you, right? Because I'm sure Ed didn't just come to you and say, Dalton, you're 13. It's time to buy Apple stock, right? Like most 13-year-olds would roll their eyes and go back on their iPhones and, TikTok or whatever they're going to do. But was there a message behind that someone else could do really to set that in for their child?
I think the biggest thing that he said to me that had an impact, he said, if you don't invest, you will work for the rest of your life. And even that was so powerful. He still says that to me today. And even back then I was like working hard. I was like, I don't want to be working for the rest of my life. I want to retire one day. I want to retire hopefully early, and that was the thing that had the biggest impact on me. If you don't invest, you're going to be working for the rest of your life.
That's crazy. I mean, slow down when you want to, right?
Right.
And not feel that you need to work because you have to, because your younger self took care of that. It set up your older self. That's really powerful. And just ripping off that Band-Aid, getting it done.
That's right.
Wow.
Very cool.
And so part of our business as a culture, as we work with our clients, they're at all different stages of their life, ages and stages, right? But all of them, most of them are going to come to us and say they want to create some type of financial legacy for their kids, right? The legacy that we found out from talking with hundreds and hundreds of families across the country is that the legacy isn't just the dollars and cents. It's also the message that goes along with that, right? And being able to communicate effectively with that next generation about how to save for themselves. Truth be told, we see it all too often that people are holding back on their lives, waiting for their inheritance, waiting for that other generation who did the wise things, who got it started early and started putting away money. And they're kind of waiting for that windfall. It's a really weird thing that's happening in society right now. It's not just here in the US. You're saying is set yourself up. If all those things happen and somebody is gracious enough to leave you some money, fantastic. But don't let that be part of your financial plan. Create your own, right?
Create your own wealth. Yep. Anybody can be rich. Anybody can get an inheritance. Anybody can win the lottery. But it's you who can ultimately create your own wealth. And one of the major things that you can do to do that is by investing.
Yeah. And if you're lucky enough to get that inheritance, isn't it kind of your responsibility to also do the same thing for the next generation behind you?
Right.
You know, it doesn't
because
just
then you're going to have all this money, and it's like, how do I handle that? I want to be able to pass it to the next generation.
Exactly.
You got to know how to handle it properly.
Exactly. Yep. So, giving and receiving is, creating that balance on the intangible. Again, I have to go back. I just said intangible, but like, it is wild to have a 13, 14-year-old kid to be excited about something that's two-dimensional. When I was 13, I was still buying root beer and like baseball cards and like guitar picks.
Yeah.
Like I was like the stuff and things that I wanted to collect and they were mine. Imagine if I put all that stuff into investing, which I did not do at 13. Imagine. Because I worked. I mean, I would work hard too. I would do dishes. I remember every Sunday I'd go wash dishes all day for like a deli and, come back and got, ketchup stains all over you. I don't know where that money went. That money's gone now. I spent it on stuff that made me feel good at the time. But imagine if someone grabbed me, reeled me in and said, hey, here's what you can do with this. When you're 26, you'll have this. When you're 36, again, that investment calculator mentality of if I started 10 years earlier, if I started 5 years earlier, or, added $1,000 a year, those are things that are very possible at those ages to do, especially when you're working and cash flow is coming in. Mm-hmm. That is creating net worth. I mean, that's creating net worth at 13, 14. You have cash flow coming in. You are adding to that balance sheet for yourself. That's really powerful. And if you can get jazzed up about that, I say you did, but if you could have younger folks getting jazzed up about that, they will have this windfall and dollars and cents aside, but they'll have this like legacy that they're creating that they can use or they can pass. They can use or pass for the second gen. Right. Just super exciting. I mean, obviously we get jazzed up about it, but super cool stuff.
But there's a huge message, right? Like I just continue to like unfold this onion or peel back this onion. Like this isn't a few minutes ago. I said, get started for your kid early or put some money away from them. This is a bigger message almost. That's like have your kid work and save their own money. Right? Create that responsibility for yourself. Yeah, maybe mom and dad contribute and help you out and give you the lessons and things. But I mean, you created the money by work and then started to put it away and you're able to see those results. Were you looking online? Was it statements? Like this is way bigger than I think even the listeners. I didn't even really see the depth of this message until just a few minutes ago. You got to create the dollars and then it installs you that hard work and then that future reward to Bryce's point a few minutes ago.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I had my E-Trade account. I would log into it pretty much daily, and I've been checking. I've been checking the market every day. I can tell you since I was 13, religiously, like multiple times a day. I was just into it. Like that was my thing.
That was your thing.
That was my thing.
Has there ever been a day, since you're 13, that ruined it all or gained it all for you?
That ruined it all. I mean, there's been some really down days, but you got to remember, it happens. It's all part of market cycles, and it's going to happen again. I mean, we're at market highs right now, but I know it's going to happen again, and you can't get scared and sell everything, and that's where a lot of people go wrong.
Yeah. So staying tough,
weather the storm, and if you can, buy more because you're going to reap the rewards when the market goes back up.
I think it's crazy too how you open the account, and it's amazing how it magically gets full. Like open the account, right?
Yeah.
Like that must have made you feel good when you opened it. You're like, I'm doing something no one else my age is doing. That's how I would think.
That's right.
Like I think that when I'm running and I'm like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. I'm like, well, no one else is running. I'm running, right? So I get to I get to feel good about that. But you got to feel good when you were investing at 13. I would imagine. I mean,
yeah.
Were you talking about it with your friends in school?
Oh, good question.
Honestly, not really.
Not really.
I knew that my peers weren't doing that, and honestly, it fired me up a little bit.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It fired me up. Yeah. I was like, nobody else is doing this. Man. I'm creating wealth for myself. But now I'm in the position I want to help other people do that. I want them to start when they're young. I want their kids to start early.
Yeah.
So they can do the same thing that I did and be even better than I am.
So hopefully this podcast hits. I mean, hopefully this thing hits with one, if it hits with one younger person or one father or mother that lets their 13 or 12-year-old daughter or son listen to it and they go, yeah, that's right. We're talking about like the football games or we're talking about, whatever else is going on in our lives. We should be talking about, can you imagine if younger people get fired up about what they're going to be down the road? And you have that voice, man. You have that fire that you can hand out. Like I said before, I didn't start that early, but I will tell you this, because we were talking about college planning before. When my wife told me 7 years ago that she was pregnant. This is true. The next day, I opened a $5 million plan. The next day. And it was
Smart man.
panic and shock and whatever else we did. But then, and now, and like you contribute and everything, you open up those quarterly statements and you go, wow, all right, where would that money have been if I didn't do that?
Right.
Like, thank God I did that. So what you did, super special, but at the same time, not unique. What I mean by that is this. Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it now, and it's easier than ever.
It was super special that you did it. And I think you're a really special guy for doing it, but it's not unique.
No.
And right now, to your point before, it's cheaper. You're not paying $6 a trade to get this done.
Zero commission. Yeah.
Zero commission. Whether working with someone or not, you can get this done. Just get it going, right? So then down the road, when you can meet with someone like the three of us, you say, because we always say, oh my God, what's the story? Brian and I always love to distill out of people their story, whatever it is, whether it's we moved because of this and how the money got shaped along the way. You will always have this story that you told. And I think that's awesome. And now it'll live in perpetuity on the podcast, hopefully, so people can dig into this anytime you want to. Man, that's great. Johnny Appleseed, this thing, man. This is a cool one.
Yeah.
So Dalton, I'm going to ask one thing. I'm going to give you a little bit of a plug here, right? So there's some listeners that are out there like, this really sounds good. I would really like to be able to do this or have this conversation with my child. There is a lot of awkwardness that exists, especially between parents and talking to their children, no matter what age, right? No matter if they're 3 years old or 33 years old. A lot of us parents have that awkward thing. We're like, I don't want to, instill my thoughts onto my child. If someone needed help just starting that conversation for their kid, would you answer the phone and just talk to them a little bit more about your experience and maybe give them some guidance on how to do that?
Oh, 100%. I would be willing to do that. I guess it came very naturally in my family, but I know it doesn't in others, and there's maybe kind of a stigma around it, but yeah, 100%. I'm willing to, talk someone through that.
There we go.
Well, that's a good question, because even if the parents really want to do that, maybe it's not received well by the kid.
Maybe the kids don't want to do it. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah,
teenage years. They're not the easiest years to communicate with you with your folks. So, but yeah, I think someone like you getting in front of them and just like speaking from the heart and all that authenticity and truth behind it and what it did for you, I mean, it is really great. So super cool. Wish more people like you did that. But if this word gets out, hopefully they will. That's the whole point of this thing, right? Little snackable ideas, little cool stories that can have a huge impact on people.
Yeah.
And this one is just starting early.
Right.
Brian, we tell people a lot, especially like when we meet with young people from our client base, we say your biggest asset is your time horizon right now. Your biggest asset is that you have time, you have bands and bands of time. Meanwhile, most of the clients that we meet in 60s, 70s, 50s, what have you, they're knocking on the door of, the later part chapters of their lives. And they know that, and that's cool. That's also very special and inspiring. But if young people can get ahead of it, my goodness, that superpower of time is a real thing.
Yes. I think you can get kids fired up by like buying their favorite products in stock. Like Nike shoes. Nike is a stock.
Cool.
You like a product, you use it, and you'd recommend it. Why not buy that company?
Good idea.
I had an iPod Touch when I was little. That's why I bought Apple.
Jeez, that's cool.
And I was in love with the product, so I was like, oh man, I'm going to buy this stock. I'm going to participate in this company. Man. I don't got to be the genius behind all these products, but I can participate in that.
You got in love with the right things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the 13-year-olds, I mean, they get to have a little bit more insight in the markets, right? I can feel already at 40 that I'm falling out of touch with a lot of like the cool products and things that are out there. And if you're 13, you're going to be a consumer a whole lot longer than I am at 40, right? So it's actually a really good strategy to let them choose some of their own. It's awesome, Dalton. Thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, I would imagine as people are listening to this, there's some lights going off. The one thing that I think we should leave as a message is if you're not 13, like still get started, right? Don't allow whoever you are in life to be your excuse to go, well, I missed that boat. No. The best time to have started any kind of project was yesterday. The next best day is obviously today, right?
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And try to beat the average. I mean, if you're 33 and you haven't started, just go do it. You're on the average, level there. But if you can do it earlier, you see what can happen. You can have the fruits of your labor, so to speak, or the fruits of your time horizon. Take advantage of it. But yeah, just get started. Rip open that account, get it going, get it funded, get it full, get it involved in the pathway of, I love that, choosing things that you do. I have a Trek bike. I'm going to invest in Trek stock. I love that idea. Right. That is so, so, so cool. I'm going to use that with my kids, Dalton. You just dropped a knowledge bomb on me. That's a great idea.
They'll get fired up over it.
They'll get fired up over it.
Wanting to buy that stock, 100%.
All right. Well, this was really great chat. Quick one. But thanks again to all the Wealth on Purpose podcast listeners. Great as always, Dalton. Thanks for being a great guest. Second time around. We'll love to have you come back if you'll have us. Yeah.
I was glad to be here. This was great, guys.
All right. Thank you so much. Over and out.
Thank you for stopping by the Wealth on Purpose podcast. Your visit is very important to us. If you feel that you got something from your time, please consider subscribing and/or liking. For more, please visit us on granitebridgewealth.com, where a wealth of knowledge awaits.